The night stretched on like a never-ending maze. The apartment felt smaller, suffocating in its silence. Every corner seemed to hide a new piece of a puzzle. A puzzle I wasn't sure I wanted to finish, but knew I had no choice. The deeper we dug, the more we uncovered about the experiment that had manipulated us, erased our memories, and left us in the dark. But we still had no answers about the people behind it, no answers about the grey-eyed man, and certainly no answers about how to stop it. I sat at the small table in the corner of Ethan's apartment, the piles of research and files between us seeming to multiply with every hour that passed. My hands were trembling as I shuffled through the pages, trying to piece together a coherent story from the fragments I had found. But no matter how hard I tried, it was like staring into the void. I couldn't remember the key details. My past was a blur, a haze that I couldn't clear. And every time I thought I understood what had happened, I felt the walls of my mind closing in. Ethan was at the window, his back turned to me, staring out into the darkness. The light from the street below cast long shadows across the room, but the quiet of the apartment felt deafening. The weight of everything hung in the air like a storm that had yet to break. "I don't understand," I finally said, my voice breaking the silence. "How is it that I've been part of this all along, but I didn't remember?" Ethan didn't turn to face me, but I could hear the tension in his voice.
"Maybe you didn't want to remember. Maybe they made sure you wouldn't."
I swallowed hard. The truth stung. I had been a willing participant in this experiment, or at least I had been before the memories were erased. But I couldn't tell if it was my choice, or if I had been manipulated into thinking I wanted it. All I knew was that the truth was far more twisted than I ever could have imagined. My involvement in the project, the memory manipulations, it had all been hidden from me for so long, and now it was all starting to come back to the surface. "I didn't have a choice, Ethan," I said, trying to find a shred of justification in my own voice. But even as I spoke, I knew it was a lie. There had been choices, ones I had made that I hadn't remembered, and now they were coming back to haunt me.
"Maybe,"
Ethan said quietly, his voice tinged with anger and frustration.
"but you're not the only one, Evelyn. Look at what they've done to me. To us. We're not just victims of a memory erasure program. We're part of a system designed to control us, to make us forget who we really are."
I walked over to him, standing beside him at the window. "But why? Why would they do this to us? What do they want?" Ethan's jaw tightened as he stared out the window, his eyes distant.
"I don't know, but I think we're about to find out."
A chill ran through me as his words settled in. There was no more running, no more hiding. The truth was out there, buried in the documents, in the files we had found scattered across the city. And the more we uncovered, the closer we came to understanding what had happened to us. I had hoped that when we found the files, the answers would be simple, but they weren't. Each document, each note, led to more questions. It wasn't just memory manipulation. It was something bigger, something darker. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the key to everything, the key to understanding why all this had happened, was a grey-eyed man. He wasn't just a figure in our memories. He was the architect of this whole twisted operation. But who was he? And why had he been controlling our lives? I turned back to the table, my eyes scanning the files one last time. There has to be something here, I muttered to myself, running my fingers across the papers. My heart raced as I shuffled through them, and that's when I saw it. A name. Not the grey-eyed man's name, but the name of someone else. A name that felt both foreign and familiar. Dr. Samuel Holt. The name hit me like a lightning bolt. It was a name I had seen before, but in a different context. I didn't remember it at first, but now, as it surfaced in my mind, the connection clicked into place. Dr. Samuel Holt. He had been a part of the project, a key figure, someone who had worked alongside me, guiding the research, shaping the experiments. No, this couldn't be real. He couldn't be involved. But the more I looked at the files, the more it became clear. Dr. Holt had been the one to initiate the project. He had overseen the erasure of memories, the manipulation of identities, and the control of our lives. He was the mastermind behind everything that had happened to me and to Ethan.
Evelyn,
Ethan's voice cut through my thoughts.
what is it?
I looked up at him, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to tell him. There was no more denying the truth. I couldn't keep it from him. It's Dr. Samuel Holt, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He's the one who started this whole thing. He's the one behind everything. Ethan's eyes widened, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. The name Samuel Holt seemed to hang in the air between us, filling the space with an ominous weight.
He's the one who's been controlling us?
Ethan asked, his voice strained with disbelief. I nodded slowly, my heart sinking. Yes, and I think he's been watching us all along. I think he's the one who's been behind the grey-eyed man's influence. He's the one who's been erasing our memories and manipulating our lives. But why? Ethan stepped away from the window, his expression darkening.
We need to find him. We need to know why he's been doing this. And we need to stop him.
I agreed, but the path forward was uncertain. Samuel Holt wasn't just some obscure figure hiding in the shadows. He was someone we had known, someone we had worked with, and the thought of confronting him filled me with an icy dread. He was no longer just a name on a page. He was the reason we were caught in this nightmare. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. We'll find him, Ethan, but we have to be careful. We don't know who else is involved in this, and we don't know what he's capable of. Ethan nodded.
I know, but we can't just sit here and do nothing. We have to end this.
The determination in his voice was unwavering, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could fight back. Maybe we could stop Holt, stop the grey-eyed man. We spent the next few days in a frantic search for answers. Each new clue led us down a darker path, and each door we opened seemed to lead to another closed one. But we couldn't stop. The truth was out there, and we had to find it. Then, one night, as I was going through the last of the files, I came across something that stopped me cold. A letter. A letter that had been hidden in the back of a file I hadn't yet read. The handwriting was familiar. Dr. Holt's handwriting. I opened the letter with trembling hands, reading the words over and over, unable to comprehend what I was seeing.
Dr. Marks, the project is nearing its final phase. The subjects are almost ready for the final test. We must ensure that their memories are completely erased before we move forward. Their compliance is essential. We cannot afford to have them remember who they were. It will jeopardize everything. The gray-eyed man is our key. Keep him under control. Ensure that he does not fail. Samuel Holt.
The words hit me like a ton of bricks. The final test? Was I the subject? Had I been part of the test all along? And what did they mean by compliance? The letter revealed more than I was ready to face. But it wasn't just the letter that shook me. It was the realization that we weren't just fighting for our memories anymore. We were fighting for our very identity.